My name is Kelly Martin. Finally pregnant in the 5th year of marriage. When I think about it, it seems like it was a long winter. I wanted a child but couldn't have one, and seeing mothers with their children was painful. My husband never understood how I felt. Sometimes, he even called me defective. It was a marriage filled with tears. But when I found out I was pregnant, it felt like spring had come at last. However, instead of moving on to summer, it felt like we went back to the depths of winter. That's because... Congratulations! When the midwife said that, my husband uttered unbelievable words. I would like to request a DNA test immediately. Why would you want a DNA test? How can I know if this child is mine?
What? It's obviously your child. I just gave birth to it.
Just because you gave birth, can you be certain it's my child? How can you say for sure you haven't cheated? That's why I need to check. Unless you have something to hide?
What are you talking about?
The doctor and midwife were shocked at my husband's words. It was an unprecedented birth drama. To think that his first words upon seeing his child were these. You would think so, wouldn't you? Have you always thought this? That this child was the result of an affair? We couldn't have a child for 5 years. Suddenly having one is strange. It's only natural to be suspicious. That's like declaring yourself infertile. Besides, shouldn't you be happy we could conceive and that the child was born? Instead, you ask for a DNA test right after birth. That's weird. Weird or not, the test will show whether the child is mine. Once it's confirmed, I can love and raise the child without any worries. Doctor, please proceed with the test. With that, my husband produced a toothbrush in a plastic bag. He had prepared it in advance. Ah. Yes. The doctor was in a state of confusion. Mrs. Martin, is that all right? His words seemed to imply that they might reveal an affair. That seems to be the case. But since I haven't cheated, there's nothing to worry about. Yes, if that's what my husband wants. Please go ahead. I answered clearly. A few days later, in front of my smirking husband, the doctor reported the DNA test results. It's 99.9% not your child. Shocked by the unexpected result, I looked at my husband. He had a cold look in his eyes. I knew it, it's not my child.
That's ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous. This confirms your affair. I didn't think you were that kind of woman, but I'm a forgiving man. I'll overlook your affair. But I can't raise a child that isn't mine. We're getting a divorce. He said that and left the hospital room, humming a tune. My parents, who had come to see their grandchild, asked me what was going on, but I was the one who wanted to know. I can't believe this test is true. I murmured, and after being discharged, I went back home. There was no sign of my husband, only a cold atmosphere. Where could he have gone? Looking at his belongings, it didn't seem like everything was gone. Was he coming back occasionally to take things? Or did he just take what he needed? Knowing it was pointless to wonder, I took my husband's toothbrush, put it in an envelope, and mailed it for a retest. The truth should be clear in 2 weeks. At the same time, to find out where my husband was, I called my in-laws. However, they seemed unaware of anything and were happy to hear I was discharged. They even thanked me for having their grandchild. So, my husband hasn't told his parents. He's not at his parents' house either. Then where? Then it hit me, the word affair. Could it be, he is? Suddenly, I had a realization, and an image of my former husband flashed in my mind. My husband didn't seem happy when he found out I was pregnant. Instead, he seemed annoyed and said, "Now?" Since then, he started coming home late and was often on the phone outside the house. The frequency of his messages increased significantly. I didn't want to worry, thinking it would affect the baby, so I tried not to think about it. But if all those signs were of an affair, could he be with another woman now? After calling me defective, he was the one having an affair? I had my own plans. I made a call to locate my husband. For 2 weeks, as I struggled with these painful thoughts and took care of our child alone, everything changed when the new DNA results arrived. The reason is, the DNA test results stated. The paternity test shows 99.9% likelihood he's my husband's child. I knew something was off. Does this mean the sample my husband provided was fake? I wonder whose it actually was. More importantly, why did he do this? It was clear that the child was his, so why deny the father-child relationship? Even if he had other women, this seems excessively cruel. Every time I looked at the results, my anger towards my husband, who abandoned his parental duties, grew, as did my hatred. I couldn't forgive him for abandoning our child. I wanted to get back at him in some way. Holding my child, I thought. Be prepared, I'll never forgive you. I had decided on revenge. Leaving my child with my parents, I went to the apartment where his mistress lived. Right after being discharged, I had the DNA test redone and also hired a detective to investigate my husband's affair. Thanks to that, I was able to pinpoint the woman's apartment and knew my husband would likely be there. The apartment was barely better than a regular building, with no real security, just a residential complex. I easily made my way to the woman's apartment and rang the doorbell. "Hello," a woman's voice said as she opened the door, almost as if she was expecting someone. She looked puzzled upon seeing me. "Who are you?"
I'm Hugh Martin's wife. My husband is here, isn't he?
As I said that, the woman uttered a small ah and looked at me triumphantly, as if mocking me. I was infuriated by her contemptuous face, but I wasn't here for her, I needed to see my husband. Right. You're still not divorced, so you can still call Hugh your husband. But it's bold of you to come here, considering you had an affair. A woman who gives birth to her lover's child sure has some nerve.
I need to talk about that. Bring my husband out. Talking to you is pointless.
What do you mean, pointless?
That's what I mean. Now bring my husband out, or I'll start yelling right here. Wonder what the neighbors will think.
As I said that, the woman reluctantly called for my husband. Then out came my husband, in a sloppy appearance. I couldn't believe he had an affair with this man looking like this. What's up? Why are you here? Hugh's wife. Wow, scary to have the wife barge in like this. The woman said, hiding behind my husband, but I could see a smirk on her face. Such a nasty woman. How did you find out where I am? A reasonable question, indeed. I couldn't reach you, so I hired a detective. So you left home and moved in with her within 2 weeks. Turns out you were the one having the affair.
What are you talking about? We just started dating 2 weeks ago. So, I haven't cheated.
Yeah. Whatever. The fact remains you're cheating.
We're getting divorced, so it doesn't matter who I date. It's none of your business anymore. You're right, but we're not divorced yet, so the fact that you're cheating hasn't changed. And it's also a fact that the child born is yours. That's not my child. The test results show 99.9% it's not mine.
Whose sample did you use for the test? That toothbrush wasn't yours, was it?
It was mine. Of course it was mine. Really? That's strange. When I returned home from the hospital, your toothbrush was still there. Not even a new one. So I used that toothbrush for a retest. And look.
I shoved the test results in my husband's face.
See? 99.9% your child. I didn't cheat, but I thought it was a strange story. Plus, you insisted on a test right after the birth. Normally, you'd be happy that the baby was born. Why, I wonder? Well, that's because I thought your behavior was odd, so I thought it'd be better to get it checked.
How could you possibly think my behavior was odd? Your behavior was far stranger. I just didn't want to worry during my pregnancy because I thought it would affect the baby. But to think that right after the birth, you'd say something like that and then run off to be with another woman. It means you were cheating and wanted to cover it up.
What are you talking about? That's just speculation.
It's not speculation. The test results are right here, and you're living with another woman. Moving in with a woman after just 2 weeks of dating, that's crazy unless she's incredibly naive. Well, that's. Confronted with the test results and the investigation report, my husband seemed speechless. But trying to find a way out, he was hesitating, thinking of something to say. However, his mistress, Mira Arthur, turned everything upside down. That's right. Hugh has been dating me for a year now. That's why he wasn't happy about your pregnancy. She said it with a laugh, thinking she had one because she had Hugh. So, you've been dating for a year. Thanks for letting me know. And whose toothbrush was used for the DNA test? Well, that's. No point in hiding it now, right? It's clear it wasn't yours. Wouldn't it be better to just tell the truth? I don't want to be left in the dark about it if we're getting divorced. Okay. You're right. But don't blame me, okay? I won't blame you. Yeah. Given your personality, you wouldn't blame someone for something like this. Something like this. Right. We seem to have different values. But for now, I won't blame you. Yeah. The toothbrush at that time was hers. Hers, this woman? Yeah, if it was Myra's toothbrush, there's no way it would match as parent and child. I see. So you were well prepared. You used your mistress's toothbrush to deny the parent-child relationship and push for divorce? Well, yeah. I see. But now you're free to play around, right? We're free from each other now, so no problem, right?
I don't want to play around. But being with a cheater like you would only make me sick, so I'll grant you the divorce. Here's the divorce paper. Please sign it. I'll drop it off at the office on my way home, so sign it now.
All right, I get it. This means we'll be strangers now. You can get married now, can't you? Yeah, that's right. My husband signed the divorce papers with a happy look, and the woman also seemed pleased as she watched. After he finished signing and stamped it, Hugh handed the papers to me. Well, that settles our divorce. I'm glad. Yeah, me too. I feel relieved. I should have just asked for a divorce straightforwardly instead of going through all that trouble. Right. Now that we're divorced, can you tell me the truth? How did you two meet? It was a year ago, so I wasn't pregnant yet, right? Yeah, every time you got your period and became gloomy about not being able to have kids, I started to feel uncomfortable at home. That's when I met Mira through social media. If you want to find a boyfriend, social media makes it easy, you know. Thanks. Not that I'm looking for a man, but I'll keep that in mind. So, you two are planning to get married, huh? Yeah, we are. Right, Hugh? Yeah, that's right. We're going to be happy from now on, so you should be happy too. I hope so. After saying that, I left the apartment where my husband and the woman lived. But getting his signature on the divorce papers was not my only goal. After leaving the apartment, I made a phone call. I have something to tell you. I'm on my way. I said with a smirk and started walking. Now, I'll send you both straight to hell. The real revenge starts here. A few days later, my husband contacted me in a panic.
Hey! What the heck is this?
What is this?
Shut up. I'm asking you a question.
Wow, talking to a stranger like that. I question your common sense.
Just listen to me.
What? Fine, I'll listen.
I got a letter from a lawyer.
So? What about it?
What's this about alimony?
Alimony is alimony, right?
Why do I have to pay alimony?
Because you cheated. I was proven not to have cheated, but you admitted to having an affair. She even kindly spilled the beans.
But we were already getting a divorce.
But we weren't divorced yet. We just signed the papers that day. Plus, you said you've been together for a year.
I said that, but it's not evidence.
So it's come to this. I recorded it at that time. What did you say? I didn't blame you like you said at that time. I just left it to my lawyer.
Why are you demanding alimony from her too?
Because she's the mistress. It's common sense. She knew you were married and still had an affair with you, so it's only natural that alimony is due. Don't you feel sorry for her?
No, I don't.
Why should I feel sorry? I'm the one whose husband was taken away. You're not supposed to be so heartless. That's just your fantasy. I'm quite a merciless woman, you see.
How can a 26-year-old like her pay such a huge amount?
She shouldn't have stolen someone's husband in the first place. If she did, she should have been ready for the consequences.
She's not at fault.
What? Of course, she is. Don't say such stupid things. And about the child support, pay it all at once.
I can't pay such a huge amount all at once.
That's not my problem. If you pay in installments, and you decide to skip payments, I'll be the one who misses out. It would be unfair to the child. Raising a child is expensive. But that child isn't mine. Are you going to keep harping on the results from her toothbrush? Stop it, or I'll sue you for fraud. And another thing. Even if the child really isn't yours, the law sees any child born during the marriage as yours. So even if it's not your genetics, you still owe child support. Lucky for you, it's your own genes. Alright, I'll pay, but all at once?
If you don't pay all at once, I'll garnish your wages.
Garnishing wages? It means you'll only get enough money to barely live on. I'm serious.
Alright, I'll pay. I never thought you'd be this terrible. If I pay, I'll be rid of you. That'll be a relief.
Right. This will sever our ties. But remember, I'm taking revenge because you betrayed me. My revenge on you is not over yet.
What do you mean? What are you planning to do? Hey, answer me.
Hugh has always been a coward. I knew that such threats would work effectively on him. I said that to instill fear, but he really took it to heart and soon paid the child support in full, borrowed from somewhere. Thanks to that, I had a period of peace for a while. But that peace wouldn't last forever. Because I was steadily preparing the next bomb. Then, about a month later, the bomb went off. At the right time, I contacted Hugh. As expected, his voice sounded utterly defeated. Hello. You sound cheerful.
Well, you sound quite down. What happened?
It's Mira. She got fired. Oh, really? Yeah, apparently, her affair got exposed. But I've never heard of that company firing someone just for an affair. Yet, they said in Myra's case, it was unforgivable. Well, that's naturally unforgivable. Why? It's just an affair. Everyone does it these days. Mira said other employees had their affairs exposed but weren't fired. Why was only Mira fired? Maybe because she chose the wrong partner? Partner? You mean me? Yes, you. That's why it's a problem. What do you mean? Her company is a publishing house, right? Yes, it is. Do you know who its parent company is? Parent company? No, I don't. It's my father's company.
What? No way!
It's true. You seem to have forgotten, but my father is the CEO of a major corporation. His company owns many subsidiaries, including her publishing house. So you're the one who said it? It's safer to say that my father, upon learning the cause of our divorce, found out where she worked and decided to fire her. You told him where she worked? I didn't tell him. I just showed him the detective's report.
It was you.
Think whatever you want. Listen, she was working hard. She's bedridden from the shock of being fired. Please, talk to your father and ask him to take back the dismissal. There's no way I'll do that. Why would you think I would? I suffered from my family being destroyed. A little suffering for her is nothing, right?
But she just got into the publishing house.
Well, she can find a job at another publishing house. She's young, she should have that much energy. Don't you feel sorry for her?
I don't.
You're so worried about her, but remember, your turn is next. What do you mean? Your company is a subsidiary of my father's company, right?
Stop, please. I've paid the child support in full and have a lot of debt. If I get fired, what am I supposed to do?
That's not my problem. You made your bed. You better brace yourself. Firing you will be much easier than firing her.
Please, I'm sorry, just stop. It's too late for apologies. You're the one who did this. The tour to hell isn't over yet.
True to his word, Hugh was fired a few days later. Apparently very angry, he stormed into my house. Why did you do this? It's too much. Thanks to you, I'm unemployed. How am I supposed to live with all this debt? You left me and our child, even falsified the DNA test results, right? Isn't this the natural consequence? You made me angry. Plus, you said our child wasn't yours after making one. Unheard of irresponsible parenting. So what? Only I suffer? Don't think this will be the end. Oh, I have a major corporation CEO backing me. What do you have? Nothing. What can you possibly do?
You'll regret doing this to me.
Regret? Aren't you the one who should be regretting? I don't know what you're planning, but instead of that, shouldn't you be looking for a new job? You have a huge debt, after all.
A new job won't just appear. You'll regret this. Just wait and see.
With that, Hugh left the house, looking frustrated. However, a few days later, he did something unthinkable. While I was putting away groceries, he took our sleeping child from the car. I never imagined such a thing could happen. When I went to bring the child in, I realized they were gone. I frantically searched but couldn't find them anywhere. Realizing it was a kidnapping, I contacted my father. With his influence, the police quickly found my child, but Hugh, caught by the police, insisted it was his child.
This child is mine. I just took my child back. What's wrong with that?
You know, even if it's your child, you can't just take them if the ex-wife is raising them.
She took my child, so I just took him back.
The police explained repeatedly to Hugh, but he refused to admit his crime. That's when I received a call. I hurried to the police station, where I saw Hugh arguing with an officer. His face had lost its former calmness, looking more like a criminal.
Why would you do this? Why? Because you got me fired. Even so, taking the child is not something you can do. What's wrong with taking my own child? There's nothing wrong with that. Your own child? The child isn't yours. He is my child. The test said he was my child. I took him because you took our jobs. You should suffer just like us. You started this, so I've done nothing wrong.
How selfish. You had an affair. What does that matter? I paid the alimony after the divorce, yet you're still making us suffer. You should suffer too.
You got fired because of your infidelity.
A police officer, listening to this pointless argument, intervened. Is this man really your husband? No, he's a stranger. This man claims he's the father of your child. He says you took the child without his permission, so he just took them back. That's not true. Is he out of his mind?
You're saying I'm out of my mind?
He never even held the child once since birth. How can he claim it's his child? But the DNA test proved it's my child. Ah. At that moment, I hesitated, remembering the retest results I had brought with Hugh. But when I received the news of Hugh kidnapping the child, I had brought something else in my bag. You mentioned the DNA test. If I can prove this child is not his, would that settle this matter? Oh. Yes, that's right. If we can do that, we can detain the person as a kidnapping suspect. Then, will this suffice? It's the DNA test report for the child and this man. The officer opened the document and saw the words 99.9% not father and child. Regarding custody, you'll see I have it if you check. The officer handed the report back to me and handcuffed Hugh.
How cowardly! You said he was my child. This test is a lie. It's her trap.
Despite his loud protests, Hugh was detained. But worse was to come. He was dumped by his wife. When she learned of the kidnapping and his detention, she brought the divorce papers, saying, his ex-wife is too dangerous. Realizing what happens when he crosses me. Moreover, staying with a man who has committed a crime is impossible unless there is an extraordinary amount of love. Hugh, having lost everything and facing a real sentence, offered a settlement. Of course, I thought he deserved a real sentence, but fearing he might harm the child after getting out of prison if I provoked him further, I decided to accept the settlement. However, I did demand a considerably high settlement amount. He had to borrow more to pay it off, adding to his debts from the alimony and child support. However, Hugh, who was not prosecuted, apparently tried hard to find re-employment. But having been once involved with the police, it was not easy for him to secure a job, and ultimately, he couldn't find a place to work. Desperate at least to have a place to live, Hugh tried to return to his parents' home. However, after committing fraud in his own child's DNA test and then attempting to kidnap the child, his family refused to have anything to do with him. Having lost any destination, Hugh, with no money, ended up living a homeless life. As for me, I started working at my father's company and am living happily with my child.